Hello students, the last class we have been discussed about what is GST and how GST was implemented, about evolution of GST and what is the tax system in our country before introduction of GST and after introduction of GST. Today we are going to discuss about meaning of GST, features of GST and objectives of GST. Because once the GST is introduced in our country, because our country is a developing country, the system as well as the authority are going to face some problems, as well as they have to clear about the doubts of both the common people as well as the industrialist. Let us discuss about what is the meaning of GST, features and objectives. First, we know GST is nothing but goods and services tax. It is a common tax on both goods as well as services. It is nothing but any tax on supply of goods or services or both, except taxes on the supply of the alcoholic liquor for human consumption, petroleum products for a while and some tobacco products. So, this is about meaning of GST. It is very simple. GST is nothing but it is a tax levied on both goods as well as the services or both on both, except some products like alcoholic liquor for human consumption, electricity as well as petroleum products. The need of GST in India. So, our country is the 160th country of introduction of GST. Initially, first time France was introduced GST, but in India, we introduced in the year 2017, July 1st. Yes, definitely India require introduction of GST, because earlier the tax system was very vast and more confused, because so many taxes were there. A particular manufacturer or a dealer has to face so many things in connection with collection of taxes and payment of taxes, filing the return and everything. With the intention of introducing the GST, simplification of the taxes, it helps both customer as well as the dealer. The first need of GST is that tax system should be simplified. So, by introducing the GST, one nation, one tax and one market, the dealer as well as the manufacturer or any other person who is involving that particular business is going to maintain very few accounts in connection with the payment of GST or any other taxes. Then second one is the tax revenue will increase. Earlier so many taxes are there, administration of those taxes was very difficult and the expenditures are more. Now the type of tax is one, that is only GST, and the maintenance of that GST administration is very simple, and we are going to implement that particular system properly. Definitely we will get more revenue. That was the second need of the GST in India. And third one is to boost the export, because after introduction of GST, the government is not levying any amount of duty on exportation. In the sense, zero rate of goods, zero rate of duty on goods export. So, now the Indian exports will be increased after introduction of GST. And the one more important, because we are living in digital era. In that particular system, it is consisting of all the things in digital format. Once the particular administration or a particular system is introduced, that digitalization, definitely the digital will be increased and automatically all the claims and all the activities will be go fast. These are all the major need of GST in our country. The features of GST, there are a lot of features are there in connection with GST administration, implementation and working. We are going to discuss a few features about how it will be affected. Of course, GST is a common tax on both goods and services. We already discussed about that one. Earlier what happened? So many taxes are there on goods, so many taxes are there on services. So, now only one tax is on both goods as well as services. That is the main feature. Second one is there is a destination based tax, where exactly the goods were delivered, that particular government is having the power of receiving the revenue. That is what is called as a destination based tax. It is also called as consumption based tax. It is a dual model of GST. Dual model of GST is nothing but both state government as well as the central government has the power to levy the GST and enjoying the revenue of GST. Because services as well as the goods are included in that particular taxes, that is what. It is a dual model, state model as well as the central model. And suppose if a particular person is importing the goods from abroad, in addition to the custom duty, the person who is importing that goods, he has to make the payment of IGST. That is a new thing in case of GST. And as we discussed earlier there were so many major indirect taxes. Almost all the major indirect taxes were subsumed with GST and replacing all the earlier indirect taxes. Now we are having only one tax, that is called as GST. Earlier the threshold limit for service is different. Threshold limit for manufacturing, that is excise duty, different. Threshold limit for registration under VAT is different. Threshold limit for registration under luxury tax different. But now only one threshold limit is applicable for all kinds of activity, either it may be supply of goods or services, luxury or advertisement or whatever it may be. Now it is a common threshold limit. As of now, the common threshold limit for goods as well as services is 20 lakh rupees, and in some specified states it is 10 lakh rupees. And one more feature is nothing but all exports and supply to special economic zone are comes under the zero rate of GST. And earlier the input tax was there, but now after introduction of the GST, every dealer who is making the payment of GST at the time of recurring, purchasing, procuring, now he is eligible to claim the input tax credit on all his purchases and on his input services. These are all the major features of GST. The next thing is objectives of GST. Why GST is required? Because the government introduced the GST with a lot of objectives. Unless fulfilling the objectives, the respective system may not work. For the purpose of achieving the objective, the government is introducing this GST after independence. It was the major tax reform. Let us discuss about what are the major objectives of GST. The first one is elimination of cascading effect. Earlier what happened? If a particular product is sold in different phases, the tax was levied on tax. Say for example, if the goods were purchased for rupees 100 and tax is 10 rupee, 110 rupee. In the next stage, we are going to calculate the tax of 10%, 110 rupee. But now, in case of GST, we are not supposed to levy the tax on 110 rupees, we have to levy only 100 rupees. We are reducing that 10% tax on 10 rupee, that is called as cascading effect. Now, after introduction of GST, there is no cascading effect. Though there is no cascading effect, automatically the price of the goods will be decreased, because there is no tax on tax. We have to levy only the tax on value of the product, that is what is value based tax. Then ensure input tax credit across the value chain. Suppose a manufacturer sell the goods to wholesaler and manufacturer need to collect the amount of tax from wholesaler. If the wholesaler sell the goods to retailer, whatever the amount he paid to the manufacturer, he can claim as input tax credit because he sold the goods to the retailer. And again, retailer may claim the input tax credit because he supplied the goods to ultimate buyer, and he is collecting the amount of GST from his customer, and he can claim that whatever the GST paid to his wholesaler. So, it is a very help to the particular dealer to claim input tax credit in all the phases of sale. Then it is easy tax compliance. Earlier what happened? There is a filing of return of excise, filing return of custom, filing return of service tax, filing return of VAT, filing return of excise, electricity duty, filing return of octroi, filing return of entry tax, filing return of entertainment tax, filing return of any other luxury tax details. But now only one filing of return is enough, because all the taxes are come together and the form of GST, and one GST return file is enough instead of all these types of taxes. And it is a uniform tax law across the country. Earlier what happened? VAT rate in Tamil Nadu is different, VAT rate in Karnataka is different, VAT rate in Maharashtra. The rate of VAT is different from one state to another state. But now, if GST is levied on a particular product, the rate of GST is common from whatever the state in our country. It is throughout the country the same or single rate of GST is applicable. That is nothing but uniform tax laws across the country. And one nation, one tax and one market. As I said earlier, if the VAT rate is less in case of one state, the market is more in that particular state. In other state, if the VAT rate is more, there is no market in that particular state. Now, the rate of GST is common in all the states, and hence it is a one market. You can buy the goods anywhere in our country, because everywhere, wherever you go, you can buy that particular product at the same rate of GST. Then registration. Earlier what happened? There should be a separate registration for service. separate registration for goods, separate registration for luxury tax, separate registration for octroi, so many things were there. But now one registration is enough in connection with collection and payment of GST, that is simplification. Then subsum of all major India taxes as we discussed earlier, and foremost important, reducing the tax evasion or corruption or reducing the black money. Once all the things are come to computerization, everything will be recorded. That record is available in the hands of the respective department, and it is not easy to escape from making the payment of taxes. And hence, with the implementation of GST, the tax evasion will be reduced, the tax corruption will be reduced, and black money generation will be reduced because the effective implementation of GST. Students, in this class we are discussing about what GST exactly, what are the features of GST and objectives of GST and need of GST in our country. Thank you.